Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Monday Night Raw results and Superstar spoilers, as well as what happened after the pay-per-view went off the air. Well, F4W Online reports that WWE has released some wrestlers by the name of Chad Baxter, Chase Donovan, and Nick Rogers from their developmental deals. We should have more this coming week on the recent NXT departures. Some of them have already been departed and are now on the main roster. The Rock tweeted about casting for his The Hero reality show on TNT. And he's quoted by saying, casting for my new show at The Hero TNT has been amazing. All shapes, sizes, ages, and colors. Keep those videos coming. Hashtag drive. And you can go to www.theherotnt.com for more info and catch probably your episodes on there as well. Former WWE diva Brandy Reed, Edith Styles, revealed this weekend that she had gotten engaged to WWE superstar Cody Rhodes. She tweeted a photo of the ring Cody gave her. And you can also see it on Ringside News and ProWrestling.net. When the man of your, she's quoted by saying, when the man of your dreams and your best friend asks you to marry him, there's nothing like it in the world. Just perfect. Thank you, guys. Fandango's dark match opponent at Tuesday's SmackDown taping in Cleveland, Ohio last week was journeyman wrestler Pepper Parks, who was released from his WWE developmental contract. The 13-year independent wrestling circuit veteran was profiled the week before by Slam Wrestling, article available on Slam Wrestling. Despite being over 30 years old and apparently not meeting WWE's size standard, he continues to vie for a WWE contract. A while back, WWE was going through this thing where they were saying that they didn't want to hire rookies, but a lot of things have changed with Triple H taking over and everything. As Park said, I know guys personally who have gotten signed are close to the age 30. I don't listen to any of that stuff because I don't think age or height or look really matter. As long as you have what it takes and you have what they are looking for. A fifth WWE developmental wrestler has been removed from the roster page of the official NXT website, Lincoln Broderick. This would indicate that he has been released. Broderick, whose real name is Marcus Anthony, is a heavily muscled wrestler. The company signed out of Ohio Valley Wrestling in February. Despite possessing a great look, Broderick had limited experience and sparingly competed as a result. In his only match on the NXT television show, which was taped in September, he was squashed by Bronson in under 2 minutes. Other profiles removed were that of Chad Baxter, Chase Donovan, Louis Fontaine, and Nick Rogers. F4W Online confirmed that Baxter, Donovan, and Rogers were let go from their respective developmental contracts, while Fontaine claimed Wednesday in his Facebook post that he asked to be released. The official Facebook page of Texas Stampede Wrestling, Dwayne McCullough, who appeared as Awesome Kong for the Colossal Kongs, tag team in WCW, that's World Championship Wrestling for those that don't know, Global Wrestling Federation, and United States Wrestling Association, passed away over the weekend. Additional details were not released. He was 53 years old. After starting out in the GWF and USWA, the 458-pound wrestler and his equally large tag team partner, Scott King Kong Thompson, joined WCW in June of 1993. Though managed by the legendary Harley Race and featured on major shows, the duo garnered minimal success and were let go at the end of the year. The Colossal Kongs were named the worst tag team of 1993 in the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. McCullough holds a victory over WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. He defeated him on July 29, 1991 to capture the USWA Unified World Heavyweight Championship He lost the belt to him back to Jerry Lawler 2 weeks later. Following his departure from WCW, McCullough disappeared from the spotlight. According to OnlineWorldWrestling.com, he served time in a Texas prison years ago and incurred health problems while there. WWE TV personality Renee Paquette worked the Survivor Series hype show with Scott Stanford last night, the one that is already pre-taped. She is now using the name Renee Young. WWE star Cody Rhodes provided an update on his medical condition after undergoing an MRI exam. Torn trapezius grade 2. Torn deltoid grade 1. Separated shoulder. No surgery needed. As he wrote. Won't stop us. Hashtag boyhood dream. Follow Cody on Twitter at twitter.com/Cody Rhodes WWE. Cody did not mention his Survivor Series status, but I assume he'll miss the show. He did miss the show and additional dates based on that medical info. And possibly, since he's engaged, he's spending time with a special someone. Colt Cabana underwent finger surgery on Saturday and has released gruesome post-surgery photos of the infected finger. I wonder if it's the bird finger. As the anesthetics was knocking me out, I said to the doc, "Don't touch my wiener," Cabana wrote. He also added that his dreams of coming back to WWE as Rick, the finger model, Martel, have been ruined. You can check out his own tweets and a photo of his finger at twitter.com/Colt Cabana. It's good to see Cabana hasn't lost his sense of humor. He has some other great one-liners on his Twitter page. I can't warn you enough of the photo of his finger. It's downright nasty. Here's wishing Colt the best in his recovery. Former WWE diva Maurice has released a video of the launch event for the House of Maurice that took place last week in West Hollywood, California. You can view the video at youtube.com/watch?V=5AJ capital J capital C little E big L big C little O big L little M little G. In addition to Maurice and her boyfriend The Miz, I also spotted Eve and at least one of the Bella twins. Plus there are a bunch of other people from the fashion world or something. Unless one of these fashion folks designed my cheap jeans and long sleeve t-shirt attire for today, then I'm not impressed. You can also check out her website at houseofmaurice.com/home/PHP. The Dark Main event from tonight's Raw TV show was listed as CM Punk versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. But that may have been changed as of John Cena's injury during Raw. The WWE icon, Miss Elizabeth Hulett, was born on Monday. Back in 1960, she died May 1st, 2003, due to a drug and alcohol overdose in her home that she shared with her boyfriend, Lex Luger. Her most successful run came in WWE as the Velvet for the then husband, Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah. Former WWE wrestler Ryan Braddock, a.k.a. Brad Bradley, turned 32 years old on Saturday. He was born November 17, 1980. He wrestled on the independent scene as Jay Bradley and has been featured prominently in Billy Corgan's Resistance promotion. Alan Skinner and fiancée Lisa, Tyler England, and Tommy Paslaski are at the WWE Raw show and pass on the spoilers for the dark match, and stated that the hard camera side of the Notre Center was tarped off. Match number 1, Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal with Drew McIntyre in the corner defeated Santino Marella and Zack Ryder in an even 10-minute match. Slater pinned Santino following the smash hit. Match number 2, Justin Gabriel with Tyson Kidd defeated Darren Young with Titus O'Neil. A good match with several near falls. Gabriel won with a springboard moonsault. And raw results from the USA Network from Dayton, Ohio at Wright State University's Nutter Center. The show opened with a narrated recap that questioned who was behind the assault on Ryback. Ryback's music played, and he headed to the ring. Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler checked in on commentary. Cole said, "You have to believe Ryback is seething because of the attack at Survivor Series." Lawler said that the three men who attacked Ryback are goofs, and then he said they had to be idiots to do what they did. Ryback went to the ring and said his hunger cannot be suppressed. He said he is a predator, and Punk and his three men are his prey. He challenged them all to come out and face him in the ring. He said if they don't oblige, he will tear this damn place apart until I find each and every one of you, as he was saying, quote unquote. Ryback started, "Feed me for chants." Miss Piggy Guerrero walked out and said Ryback had his chance at the WWE Championship, and he blew it. She said he will be subject to a fine and suspension if he causes any chaos. She said she enjoys the way he destroys people, and said she wanted to find out how big his appetite really is. So, match number one, she sets up Ryback versus Tensai. Tensai headed straight to the ring, and Vicky left. Tensai got some offense in, but he failed to get the one count. And when he went for a cover, Ryback came back with a power slam. Ryback clotheslined Tensai to ringside and then went after him. "Give me Punk," he says. And he said before throwing Tensai into the ring, into the barrier. And then threw Tensai back inside the ring and pumped his arms to get the "Feed Me More" chant going, which sets up and performed a meat hook clothesline and followed up with a shell shot for the win. Squash match at 3 minutes 35 seconds. Backstage, Sheamus yelled at the referee, Coleslaw. Said Sheamus has a lot to get off his chest and he plans to call out Big Show. The announcers hyped CM Punk's 1-year celebration as WWE Champion. Shots aired of Kofi Kingston and Wade Barrett. The announcers said that they would be in action in a non-title match after the break, as they go to commercial. The Ryback match was not a squash from start to finish. Tensai did get some offense in, but Ryback never looked like he was vulnerable. The live crowd is definitely into the "Feed Me More" chants. It'll be interesting to see whether the newcomers eventually draw his attention away from CM Punk, or if there's more to come with them at TLC. I wouldn't read anything into Lawler referring to Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns as goofs and idiots. He was just trying to establish that it's crazy for anyone to mess with Ryback. Then they had a graphic boasted that WWE 13 was the #1 sports title and beat out Madden, FIFA, and NBA 2K13. Ring entrances for the opening match took place. Coleslaw noted that the Team Foley came up just a little bit short at Survivor Series. He added Wade Barrett and eliminated Kofi from the match with the Bull Hammer Elbow, which is the newly called move. It's not the souvenir anymore. Footage aired of Barrett saying that it's embarrassing that Kofi Kingston is walking around with the Intercontinental title. First matchup. Actually, that's what it says. First match, and match number 1, which is actually match number 2. Kofi Kingston versus Wade Barrett, non-title match. After some punching and kicking, the basics, they seemed to lessen the crowd's interest. The show cut to commercial. Barrett remained on offense after the break. Kofi started to make a comeback, and then the fans picked up. Kofi caught Barrett with a drop kick, and the announcers praised Barrett for being savvy enough to roll out of the ring. Kingston had a good flurry of offense and got a 2 count after a high cross body block. Barrett worked over Kingston's eye and repeatedly and finished him off with the Bull Hammer Elbow. Wade Barrett pinned Kofi in 12 minutes 35 seconds in a non-title match. So he may earn a title match. I was hoping for Barrett that Barrett was heading to SmackDown main events. An Intercontinental title program isn't what I had in mind for him at this point. But he and Kingston could do a lot to raise his prestige. I like the story that they told with Barrett going after Kingston's eye. The announcers did a really good job of focusing on that consistently and using that to explain why Barrett was victorious. The announcers then spoke at ringside about CM Punk retaining the WWE Championship at Survivor Series. There's my dog, Good Pup, tries to get his 5 seconds of fame. It's the 5-second pose. Alright, well, back to that. Punk retaining the WWE Championship at Survivor Series. They set up a video that recapped Brad Maddox's storyline. Coleslaw and Lawler directed viewers to the Brad Maddox Experience video on YouTube. Paul Heyman walked through the backstage area with a giant photo of CM Punk holding up the WWE Championship. He told people backstage to call their friends, if you have any, because of the celebration he has planned. Punk came out wearing I'm a Paul Heyman Guy t-shirt, and the mutual admiration was on. Matt Striker showed up solemnly, asking Punk and Heyman about the controversial finish at Survivor Series, and whether there's any association with Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns. Heyman said that they will play Punk Celebration on the 2000th episode of Raw. Heyman said everyone is invited, even Ryback. Punk was concerned about Ryback's invitation. They're doing a good job of building up the Punk Celebration, and it's a nice hook to keep viewers watching, especially since they are teasing Ryback's involvement. The biker from the Village People called Matt Striker, and he wants his mustache back. And he's got his mustache back going. It's almost like Hulk Hogan's, but it's not blonde. Pound Movember, the hashtag Movember. Match number 3, actually, the Caitlyn versus Oksana. Announcers explained that Oksana attacked Caitlyn prior to the match at Survivor Series. Caitlyn picked up Oksana and dropped her on her knee, earned her finisher to get the win. Announcers hyped Randy Orton versus Alberto Del Rio in a best of 3 falls match. Commercial break. The Divas match was clunky and awkward at times. The live crowd was flat during the match, but they did cheer when Caitlyn won. It will be interesting to see whether anything happens with Orton during the best of the 3 falls match that suggests a heel turn. The looks Mick Foley gave Orton when he failed to put away Dolph Ziggler at Survivor Series was interesting. For those that didn't catch the show, Orton had Ziggler down, but rather than put him away, he backed into the corner like his heel turn and went for the punt kick. Ziggler saw it coming and super kicked him for the win, which was a short super kick to begin with. Then an ad aired for the Soup Meets WWE for Wednesday night. Well, next match was Antonio Cesaro versus Brodus Clay with Cameron and Naomi. In a non-title match, R-Truth sat on commentary. He said little Jimmy wasn't with him. Clay missed a splash off the second rope. Cesaro performed a twisting uppercut off the second rope and put Clay away with a neutralizer. And Cesaro defeated Brodus Clay in 2 minutes 30 seconds. Another squash match. But this time it wasn't Brodus Clay getting squashed. He got squashed. I was hoping it was a one and done for Cesaro and Truth. Well, Cesaro won with a clean at the pay-per-view, and I was hoping for something different. The video package showcased John Cena's 300th wish with Make-A-Wish Foundation. The mother of a late child who was Cena's second wish sung his praises. He gave my child something that nobody else could have, as she said. Backstage segment with Vicky Guerrero was shown talking with an unidentified man and woman, and they were brought to inside the ring later on. Cole said that she has more allegations regarding Cena and AJ after the break. Wow, what touching comments. I don't care how much you dislike Cena's character, but you have to respect that. The timing of the Vicky skit was poor. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make her seem more ruthless because it aired after a Make-A-Wish video. It just looked tacky. And then for SmackDown, question whether Big Show or Sheamus is the World Heavyweight Champion. I normally bitch about these videos airing after viewers have already been told who won the pay-per-view title match, but at this point it's just good to see a SmackDown ad on Raw again. A video recap the Vicky, AJ, and Tamina segment from the pay-per-view. Vicky headed to the ring with the unidentified man and woman. The crowd was fairly quiet as Vicky walked to the ring, but they let her have it with the booing once she started to talk on the mic. She said she was going to lay doubt to rest because she has eyewitnesses. She introduced Wendy Smith, a waitress from a hotel restaurant in Sacramento. Wendy said Cena and AJ requested a private table in the back. She said they were very, very touchy-feely, and it looked like they were discussing more than just business. Then she introduced Doug Brady. Wonder if he's from the Brady, not the guy from the Brady Bunch. Well, he was a parking attendant who said Cena and AJ were parked in a parking lot for over an hour. Must have been a midnight movie after the show or something, or before the show. He claimed a father complained to him about what his family saw Cena and AJ parked in a parking lot for over an hour. He claimed that the father complained to him about what his family saw and Cena and AJ was doing. Nothing else was said or mentioned. AJ's music played and she came to the ring. AJ said she doesn't know who the people were or how much Vicky paid them, but she's sick of her attempt to create a scandal. AJ told Vicky that if she wants to fire her so bad, then she should fire her. If not, then do everyone a favor and shut the hell up. AJ said the crowd cheered as Vicky and AJ can't accept the truth. Well, John Cena's music played and he headed to the ring. Vicky's witnesses left the ring. Cena said everything Vicky was doing was a load of crap that Vicky was using to give people something to talk about. Cena turned to AJ and said he hopes she doesn't mind. Cena then shared a kiss. Cena tried to talk to Vicky again, but AJ grabbed him and kissed him back. Dolph Ziggler hits the ring and attacked Cena. Cena fought back and went for the attitude adjustment. Ziggler escaped and left the ring. It was more like a back body drop over the ring apron, and he just drops out of the ring. Cena stepped awkwardly as he was chasing off Ziggler. As he did a baseball slide, and his leg was like tripped underneath his other one when he landed, which tweaked his knee. Cena hobbled as he chased Ziggler to the back. Announcers hyped Sheamus versus Damien Sandow for later in the show. They shot air to Randy Orton walking backstage, which should set up him coming out for a match. Well, Lawler said Orton versus Del Rio, best out of 3 falls, was up next. Commercial break. First Cena and AJ kiss is well received in the building. There were a lot of squealing from the female fans, and I have to say that I was embarrassed for a few of the grown-ass men who were jumping up and down in delight. The second kiss didn't get as much of a reaction, though the fans may have been focused on Ziggler running out to spare us all from the public display of affection. Here's hoping this means the weekly Vicky allegations are finished. Cena definitely took a wrong step. It's hard to say whether he was seriously injured or just tweaked something. Match number 4 or 5, actually. Randy Orton versus Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez in a best of 3 falls match. Del Rio lost the first fall when he slammed Orton's arm into the ring post repeatedly and ignored the referee's 5 count. Got the disqualification. So Randy Orton won the first fall, 3 minutes, 20 seconds. After they took a commercial, came back, Orton fired back after the break, but Del Rio locked in a cross arm breaker, and Orton tapped, so it's 1-1. Del Rio won by submission on that one. Referee checked on Orton to see if he could continue. Orton told him to ring the bell for the 3rd fall. Later, the ref caught Ricardo getting involved and sent him to the back. Orton watched Ricardo and took a backstabber from Del Rio for a good 2 count. Del Rio struck the Viper's pose as they were trading finishers. Orton came back with a hanging DDT and then performed the Viper's pose himself. Orton went for the RKO, but Del Rio slips out and applied the cross arm breaker. Orton rolled Del Rio into a pinning position. Only gets a 2 count. Del Rio went for a kick in the corner but missed. Orton hits the RKO and gets a pin. Orton pinned Del Rio to win the 3rd fall. And that match took 13 minutes 35 seconds. First 2 falls were simple and effective, with Del Rio sacrificing the first fall to injure Orton's arm, which he targeted throughout the remainder of the match, and also helped to explain why the falls occurred so quickly. The last fall was the most action-packed, and the fans were into the near falls and the countering of the big moves. I'm happy for Orton won the match because it would have made Ziggler win at the pay-per-view look less important. Then again, it's not like they've done anything to make Dolph's win feel special tonight. Highlights aired of the John Cena and AJ kiss. The announcer noted that Cena's left knee or ankle buckled as he was leaving the ring to chase off Ziggler. Backstage, the trainer wrapped Cena's knee as AJ stood by. The trainer told Cena that he may have torn meniscus. AJ was concerned. Cena said he was fine. So the Cena leg thing was a work. It sure appears it was legit, because I doubt if they'd be showing it and working AJ into the picture. I assume that there would be a mass panic backstage amongst WWE officials. But does this mean AJ is the kiss of death? She does look a lot like Rogue from the X-Men movies. And then we get commercial break. A graphic boasted about WWE, how WWE has more Twitter followers than you and your entire family, or something like that. Great Khali was dancing in the ring. Hornswoggle showed up with flowers. Just when I thought it was going to get weird, they showed Primo and Epico. Oh no! Oh, and Rosa was there too. Match number 6: Great Khali versus Primo and Epico in a handicap match. Hornswoggle glared at Rosa. He approached her, and as she closed her eyes for a kiss, Hornswoggle shot water out of the flowers at her face. Khali hit the Punjabi plunge on Epico for the pinfall. Great Khali defeated Primo and Epico in 11 minutes, in 1 minute 10 seconds. Backstage segment: Paul Heyman chewed out a guy. Paul Heyman chewed out a guy for not delivering the balloons that he wanted for CM Punk's celebration. A shot aired of The Miz walking backstage as they go to commercial. Insert your own joke. Hear about Rosa having liquid shot in her face. Just in case you thought the wins that the other teams that have scored over Primo and Epico meant something, WWE is here to remind you that Primo and Epico are main roster jobbers. Match number 7: The Miz versus David Otunga. King plugged his appearance on Inside Edition, which will air today. Otunga dominated the first few minutes, and Coleslaw put over the clothesline that Otunga hit Miz with. Miz came back with a sunset flip and a roll-up. He fired with punches and hits a big clothesline in the corner. Miz went to the top rope and came down with the old double axe handle. Miz finished off Otunga with a skull-crushing finale. And it took 6 minutes and 5 seconds to do it. Miz is just as cocky as a babyface as he was a heel. The Ohio crowd cheered him before and after the match. The fans see a win over Otunga as being equal to a win over a local guy with the bad ring gear. Seriously, it doesn't mean anything for anyone being a mid-carder or higher. And now to spoke about all the chair shots Sheamus gave Big Show at the pay-per-view, and hyped Sheamus versus Demon Standoff for after the break as they go to commercial. For a show with so much potential, the first 2 hours have been very uneventful. I guess they're saving everything for the final hour. There was time when That approach worked well, but that hasn't been the case during the 3-hour Raw era. Jerry Lawler thanked out a site for providing the theme song for Survivor Series. It's nice to see Topher Grace launched a music career after that 70s show. Highlights aired of Ryback's promo. Sheamus brought a chair to the ring. It's like he knows TLC is next month or something. He said that he had something to get off his chest before he knocks the bejesus out of his opponent. He said his feud with Big Show started as two warriors. He said he was okay with coming up short last month, but then Show made it personal by taking out William Regal and then by dragging the referee in front of him at Survivor Series. The crowd gave Sheamus the what treatment. He said Show has shown what type of person he really is. Sheamus then said Show always seems to run away. He said he had a smile on his face after a Hell in a Cell. I'm not smiling anymore, Sheamus said. He called out Big Show. Well, it's the Big Show played, and he hobbled on to the stage. The announcers put over the beating the Show took at the pay-per-view with the chair shots. Show said they have nothing to settle. He said he told him he'd knock him out at Hell in a Cell and win the championship. Sheamus noted that the chair he brought out was the same one he used at Survivor Series. Show said Sheamus is barbaric like his Irish ancestors and doesn't deserve the title. And Damien Sandal's music played as he makes his entrance. So we get Sheamus versus Damien Sandow. Big Show headed to the backstage. Or as Sandow made his entrance. Colson said referee Scott Armstrong was not cleared to officiate after taking the road kick. Sheamus got the better of Sandow and dumped him to ringside heading into a commercial break. After the commercial break, Sandow was on offense. Sheamus sold for the next few minutes. Sandow got cocky, played to the crowd. Sheamus slammed him down. The crowd was really flat all match, but they counted along with Sheamus slamming the forearms into his chest. And then Sheamus performed white noise and followed up with a brogue kick for the win. Match took 14 minutes 50 seconds. Early portion of the match was about Sheamus looking confident and dominant. The crowd was pretty flat during the early Sheamus offense and definitely during Sandal's run. But they got up for Sheamus' signature spots down the stretch. Backstage segment. Piggy Guerrero was talking with Tamina when AJ entered the room. Vicky asked Tamina and AJ if they had met. AJ said they were going to get to know each other a lot better. AJ complained that Vicky sent Dolph out to attack Cena. Vicky laughed at AJ and Tamina put her arm up. AJ said Cena is hurt and asked that what Vicky was going to do about it. She said if Vicky isn't going to do anything about it, then she will. What is Vicky going to do about Cena being injured? Damn it, AJ. Vicky's an executive administrator, not a doctor. Where's McCoy when someone finally needs his expertise? For those that don't know, McCoy's Bones from Star Trek series, the original. A graphic boasted about the SmackDown show that rarely promoted on Raw. The announcers boasted that SmackDown is the #1 show on Sci-Fi consistently. Then they hyped the Punk celebration for later in the show. Backstage, AJ was in a rush while Layla tried to talk her down. AJ got to a locker room door and told Layla to leave her the hell alone. AJ opened the door to the locker room. A large group of heels were in the room. She darted toward Dolph Ziggler and asked who he thinks he is. Dolph told AJ that she's a dime a dozen. He said she came from nothing and she's still nothing. He said that when someone pays attention to her, she gloms onto them and makes that person her entire world. She said at the end of the day, AJ is all alone. He said she's now a shell of a woman. He said he's known girls like him all of her life, and they are all the same. He called her sad, weak, pitiful, and trash. And as Dolph was sitting down, AJ flipped out and attacked Ziggler. And Cena showed up to take AJ off of her. And as she's doing that, well, Ziggler exchanged a couple of blows with Cena. Ziggler took a shot at Cena's knee and then ran him into the bathroom stall that barely fell over with a slight touch. Cena held his knee, and referee called out for a doctor and a trainer as they go to commercial. Wow, someone on the writing team has some female issues. I really thought this would be a big night for Ziggler following his win over Orton at Survivor Series. Instead, it's nothing more than a prelude to Ziggler losing to Cena. It's as if Ziggler's win over Orton never happened. They recapped the Cena, Ziggler, and AJ angle, in case you missed it, 3 minutes earlier. Josh Matthews said Cena was rushed to the trainer's room. He said Cena's previous injury has to be much, much worse. He said Cena appeared to be in a tremendous amount of pain. Match number 9, Kane and Daniel Bryan versus Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio in a non-title match, with the primetime players sitting in on commentary. Cole Sy informed the players that the information he was getting was that Rey and Sin Cara would get a title shot if they were victorious in this non-title match. He said it came from Vicky Guerrero. Mysterio and Sin Cara performed divas onto the champ and at ringside before the break. Titus asked Lawler if he took his heart medication before he came out. He said he wasn't going to do CPR on him. He mocked Lawler for saying wash rag instead of washcloth. Mysterio got Kane down and went for a top rope splash, but Kane caught him by the throat on the way down. The players hit the ring to end the match for disqualification. Mysterio hits a 619 on the players as Kane chokeslammed Titus and Sin Cara performed Swanton on Young. Kane and Daniel Bryan fought Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara to an apparent no contest in 11 minutes. Lawler and Young started humoring themselves, and Cole Saw had to rein them in. The tag match would have been fine if it had occurred earlier, but the building is lifeless and it feels like this is hour 6 rather than hour 3. Here's hoping it's one of those nights when they bore you to near sleep and then close the show with something really hot. Well, you get a backstage segment with Paul Heyman pumping up Punk about being WWE champion for 365 days. He said he wants it to be a celebration beyond compare. He guaranteed that no one will tarnish the night for Punk. My champion, your celebration awaits, Heyman said to a smiling Punk. The announcers recapped the Cena injury and the backstage segment with Ziggler, AJ, and Cena. Well, as Paul Heyman stands in the ring and introduces himself, there were 2 photos of Punk and listening on the longest title reigns set up beyond Heyman. Crowd booed Heyman and he asked if it was because they mocked Jerry Lawler last week. He said that the fans cry for the Attitude Era and chant ECW name or ECW at him, but when they give them a taste they don't like, well, Heyman said the WWE Universe can't handle the greatness that stands before them and makes history by raising the bar so high. Heyman said Punk stands head and shoulders above the rest, not just for today, but for all time. Heyman said, this is a celebration of 365 glorious days. Heyman introduces Punk as the best in the world. As it goes past the 3-hour mark, Punk's music played and he walked out dressed in his ring gear, his new Heyman Guy t-shirt, with his title belt around his waist. Punk bowed at the fans and held his arm victoriously in the air as Heyman stood in the ring and clapped. As .NET reader Tommy Pulaski is at the show, he noted that security was making room for something, and thus he expects a run-in through the crowd. Well, Heyman acted like he was crying at Punk as Punk entered the ring. Lawler said that the tears were as real as the heart attack that Heyman suffered last week. It was weeks ago. It was like 3 weeks ago. Punk took the mic and said Sheamus near falls. Okay. Punk took the mic and said Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Bret Hart, Undertaker, and The Rock couldn't do it. He said it's been 365 days, one calendar year, and then pointed to the big screen. A Punk video played. It recapped the milestone of his career, including when he dropped The Rock with GTS. The video concluded with a graphic that read 365 days and counting in the world. Punk said it was a special day and a night of and recognition, recognizing his place in history. Punk said he won't stop until he's at the top of the list. He said his goal is July 25th, 2018, on what will be the 355th edition of the WWE main event on Ion. He said that's when he will pass Bruno Sammartino as the longest reigning champion in WWE history. Heyman said they knew they knew Sammartino when he was a kid and a fan of Sammartino. Heyman said Bruno could never beat Punk. Heyman pointed to Hulk Hogan's name below Punk's on the list and said he could never beat Punk. Heyman said another Paul Heyman guy, Steve Stone Cold Austin, could never beat Punk. And then he said that it will be proven at the Royal Rumble that not even The Rock can beat CM Punk. Punk thanked Heyman and said people ask him what his most important victory has been. Punk said beating Ryback and John Cena is the number one with a bullet because no one thought that he could win. He said two people believed he could do it, and they were both standing in the ring. Punk said the odds were stacked against him like never before. Ryback's music played. He came out, headed toward the ring, but Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose appeared again in the same black gear they wore at Survivor Series. The same ring gear that Big Boss Man used to wear, and attacked Ryback at ringside. Ryback fought them off, and they kept coming. They eventually beat Ryback down and cleared the table at ringside. The trio once again slammed Ryback through the announcer's table. Punk stood in the ring and looked down at him with a serious look on his face. Punk slowly left the ring as Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns entered the ring. Punk walked over to Ryback, looked down, and laughed. He held the WWE Championship above his head and yelled, "Best in the world," to close the show. Wow, what a repeat. The storyline wasn't forwarded aside from showing the trio that didn't go after Punk again. The Punk and Heyman celebration work was entertaining, but I was hoping for more from Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns. I suppose that's the point, and I can live with that, but it sure did suck to sit through a boring 3-hour show just to get a repeat angle from the night before. Expectations were high going into the show, and it turned out to be post-pay-per-view holiday week filler. Too bad. And that ends my report for this week. Thanks for watching. Peace out.